The blood moon ceremony was meant to celebrate strength, not expose weakness. Yet here stood Serianne at the edge of the ceremonial grounds, her silver-white hair marking her as obviously as the omega scent that made passing wolves wrinkle their noses. "Why does she even come?" muttered Fenris, one of the younger warriors. "Omegas belong in the healing dens, not at warrior ceremonies." Serianne kept her eyes fixed on the ancient stone platform where the pack elders prepared the ritual fires. She'd learned long ago that acknowledging their words only made things worse. Her fingers found the worn leather of her healer's pouch. At least there she had purpose, even if it came with no respect. The crowd parted suddenly, wolves dropping to one knee in waves. The Alpha King had arrived. But instead of taking his place on the platform with the other alphas, a figure in a dark traveling cloak moved through the crowd like any common wolf. Serianne caught a glimpse of midnight black hair and sharp amber eyes before she too lowered her gaze. Even disguised, Carrion Shadowmourn's presence made her wolf cower. "Look!" someone laughed, the rejected Omega dressed in ceremony robes. As if pretty fabric could hide what she is. 23 summers old and never been claimed, another added. Even her own family gave up trying to match her. Serianne's hands trembled as she smoothed her ceremonial dress, a pale blue thing she'd saved for months to afford. She'd hoped, foolishly, that looking proper might earn her a moment's peace. "Probably defective," Fenris continued, emboldened by the crowd's amusement. "I heard her mother was the same way. Weak Omega blood that..." "Don't." Serianne's voice came out barely above a whisper. "Please don't bring my mother into this." The crowd's laughter grew louder. Someone threw a handful of dirt that splattered across her dress. "The mouse speaks." Fenris strutted closer. "What will you do, Omega? Cry? Run to your empty den where no alpha waits?" "At least she's useful in the healing dens," someone called out. "Though I'd never let those cursed hands touch me. Who knows what weakness she might pass on." Elder Thoreau, running the ceremony, did nothing to stop them. If anything, his cold smile encouraged the mockery. Serianne felt tears burning her eyes but refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of. "Tell us, Omega." Fenris grabbed her chin roughly. "Why do you keep coming? Do you enjoy reminding us all what failure looks like?" The slap echoed across the ceremonial grounds. Serianne hadn't meant to strike him. Her hand moved on instinct when he touched her face, and now Fenris stood there with a red mark blooming across his cheek and murder in his eyes. "You dare insult her again and bleed!" The roar shook the very ground. Birds exploded from nearby trees as every wolf present dropped to their bellies in pure instinctual terror. The cloaked figure threw back his hood, and Carrion Shadowmourn stood revealed in all his fury, his amber eyes blazing with alpha dominance so powerful that several wolves whimpered. My king," Fenris stammered, blood draining from his face. "I didn't know you were..." "Silence." Carrion's voice held the edge of a shifted wolf's growl. "You dare strike an Omega under my protection." "Your protection?" Elder Thoreau's voice shook. "But sire, she's just..." Carrion moved faster than sight. One moment he stood 10 feet away. The next his hand wrapped around Fenris's throat, lifting the warrior off his feet. "Just what?" His voice dropped to something more terrifying than any shout. "Just an Omega? Just beneath your notice? Just someone you can torment for sport?" He threw Fenris aside like garbage and turned to the crowd. "Let me make something clear to every wolf here. This Omega," he gestured to Serianne, who stood frozen in shock, "is under my personal protection. Anyone who speaks one word of insult, anyone who shows her anything less than complete respect, will answer to me. And I promise you'll beg for death before I'm finished." The silence that followed was absolute. broken only by the ragged breathing of terrified wolves. The ceremonial grounds remained silent as death itself. No wolf dared move, speak, or even breathe too loudly as their alpha king stood between them and the Omega they'd been tormenting moments before. Syrian couldn't process what was happening. The most powerful alpha in 5 territories had just claimed her under his protection. Her, the rejected Omega no one wanted. "The ceremony is concluded," Carrion announced, his tone brooking no argument. "Everyone leaves. Now." The pack scattered like leaves before a storm, even the elders abandoning their ritual fires without protest. Within moments, only 3 figures remained: Carrion, Syriane, and Elder Melith, who emerged from the shadow of the sacred stones. "My king," Melith said softly, her ancient voice carrying wisdom earned over centuries. "What you've done was necessary," Carrion interrupted, though his voice held respect for the elder. "How long has this been happening?" "Years," Melith admitted, moving closer to Syriane. "Child, are you hurt?" Syriane couldn't find her voice. The king's presence overwhelmed her senses: pine, thunderstorms, and raw power that made her Omega nature want to bare her throat in submission. But beneath that, she smelled something else. Something wrong. A bitter edge like poison ivy wrapped around steel. "You're hurt," she whispered, the healer in her overriding everything else. "You're hiding it, but you're hurt." Carrion's amber eyes snapped to her face. "What did you say?" "The scent beneath your scent." Syriane stepped closer without thinking, her healing instincts taking over. "Thornwood poison. It's in your blood." "How long?" Melith gasped. "Impossible. No one can detect thornwood once it's in the bloodstream." 3 months, Carrion said quietly, his eyes never leaving Syriana's face. "The kingdom's best healers found nothing." "They wouldn't," Syriane said, her fingers already reaching for her healer's pouch. "Thornwood hides from dominant wolves. It feeds on alpha strength. But Omegas..." She trailed off, realizing she was about to reveal something dangerous. "Omegas can sense it," Carrion finished, "because you're not threatening to it." "My king," Melith interrupted urgently. "If she can detect it, perhaps she can..." "No." Syriane stepped back. "I'm grateful for your protection, but I can't. I'm not allowed in the castle. Omegas aren't permitted to treat alphas. Pack law states..." "Pack law states whatever I say it states," Carrion said firmly. "You'll come to the castle. Tonight." "But..." "That's not a request." His tone gentled slightly. "I've been dying for 3 months, Syriane. Every healer in 5 kingdoms has failed. If you can sense what they cannot, then you're my only hope." The weight of his words settled over her. The Alpha King was dying. The same king who'd just defended her against her entire pack. "They'll revolt," she said quietly. "Your alphas won't accept an Omega in the castle, especially not treating their king." "Let them try." Carrion's eyes flashed dangerously. "Anyone who challenges my decision will learn why I've held this throne for a decade." Melith placed a weathered hand on Syriane's shoulder. "Child, there's more at stake here than you know. The thornwood poison, it's not natural. Someone is trying to assassinate the king." "Someone from within the pack," Carrion added grimly. "Someone who knows our weaknesses. Having you close serves 2 purposes. You can treat what others cannot see, and your presence will force the traitor to reveal themselves." Syriane's mind raced. "You're using me as bait." "I'm protecting you while you save my life," Carrion corrected. "A fair exchange, wouldn't you say?" Before she could respond, he swayed slightly. The movement was barely perceptible, but Syriane's trained eyes caught it immediately. "It's accelerating," she said urgently. "The poison, defending me, using your alpha dominance like that. It fed on your power." We need to start treatment now. She dropped to her knees beside her healer's pouch, pulling out herbs with practiced efficiency. Mayleith, I need moonbell flowers and silver sage. Fresh, not dried. The elder nodded and hurried toward the forest edge. Carrion watched Sariane work, noting how her entire demeanor changed. The timid Omega was gone, replaced by a confident healer who knew exactly what she was doing. Why didn't you defend yourself? He asked suddenly. Against Fenris and the others. You have more strength than you show. Sariane's hands stilled for a moment. Strength in an Omega is considered an aberration. The last Omega who showed dominance was executed for being unnatural. That was 50 years ago. The attitudes remain. She looked up at him, and for the first time, he saw the steel beneath her gentle exterior. I learned young that survival meant being invisible, being useful, but never threatening. That changes now, Carrion said firmly. In my castle, under my protection, you hide nothing. A howl echoed from the forest, Mayleith signaling she'd found the herbs, but as Sariana rose to fetch them, she caught another scent on the wind. Multiple wolves, approaching fast. Your alphas, she said quietly. They're coming. Carrion smiled, but it held no warmth. Good. Let's see who objects to my new healer. The approaching footsteps grew louder, and Sariani steeled herself for another confrontation. What she'd started by accepting his protection would change everything. She just didn't know yet how much. The first to arrive was Ravner, Carrion's beta and the wolf most expected to challenge for the throne. His scarred face twisted with disgust when he saw Sariane kneeling beside the Alpha King, her hands glowing faintly silver as she worked healing energy into a poultice. My king. Ravner's voice held barely concealed rage. What is this Omega doing here? Saving my life, Carrion replied calmly, though his muscles tensed in preparation for violence. Something none of our pack healers could manage. More wolves arrived. The king's inner circle of alphas, Derex, the weapons master, Corvain, the strategic advisor, Theron, keeper of pack laws. Each face showed the same combination of shock and revulsion. This is sacrilege, Theron spat. An Omega cannot touch the Alpha King. The old laws. The old laws are why I'm dying, Carrion interrupted. While you all debated protocol, poison ate through my veins. This Omega detected in seconds what your approved healers missed for months. Convenient. Ravner stepped closer, his own alpha dominance pressing against the air. The rejected Omega suddenly has miraculous abilities just when the king is vulnerable. Sirian's hands trembled as she worked, the hostile alpha energy making her wolf whimper internally. But she didn't stop mixing the moonbell and silver sage into her poultice. The king's life depended on her focus. Careful, Ravner, Mayleith warned, returning with more herbs. Your accusations sound dangerously close to treason. Or perhaps wisdom, Derex added, his hand drifting to his weapon. How do we know she isn't the poisoner? Who better to treat a poison than the one who administered it? The accusation hung in the air like a blade. Sariani's hands stilled. Interesting theory, Carrion said softly, dangerously. Tell me, Derex, how would an Omega everyone dismisses get close enough to poison me? When was the last time any of you even noticed her existence before today? She serves in the healing dens, Corvain pointed out. She has access to herbs, knowledge. Knowledge that surpasses our master healers? Carrion laughed, but the sound held no humor. Either she's the greatest assassin in history, hiding behind an Omega's weakness, or she's exactly what she appears, someone with abilities you're too prejudiced to recognize. There's one way to know. Theron pulled out an ancient carved stone that gleamed with dark energy. Shadowstone. It reveals truth from lies, purity from corruption. Sirion gasped. Shadowstone was forbidden magic, said to burn the flesh of anyone who harbored dark intentions. You brought forbidden magic to a ceremonial ground? Melith hissed. To protect our king from potential threats, Theron justified, advancing toward Seriani. If she's innocent, she has nothing to fear. Stop, Carrion commanded, but his voice came out weaker. The poison was spreading faster, fed by his earlier display of dominance. He tried to rise but stumbled, caught only by Seriani's surprisingly strong grip. You're burning up, she whispered, fear replacing everything else. The thornwood. It's reaching your heart. Then use the stone. Ravner seized the opportunity. Prove your innocence, Omega, or watch him die while we debate. Sirian looked down at Carrion's face, saw the gray tinge spreading across his skin. The Alphas would argue until he died rather than let her help. Unless... She grabbed the shadow stone before anyone could stop her. The moment it touched her palm, agony blazed through her arm, but it wasn't the burn of corruption. It was something else entirely. The stone began to glow, not with the dark purple of deceit, but with impossible silver-white light that made every wolf present stumble backward. Impossible, Theron breathed. That light, it only appears for... For what? Carrion managed to ask, though speaking clearly cost him. For those of the original bloodline, Melith whispered, her ancient eyes wide with recognition. The first wolves. The ones who could heal any poison, break any curse. She stared at Sirian with new understanding. Child, your mother. She was Valara the Silver, wasn't she? Siriani's secret, the one her mother died to protect, blazed in her palm for all to see. The cursed bloodline, Ravner snarled, the ones who nearly destroyed us all with their unnatural powers. The ones who saved us all from the Void Plague, Melith corrected sharply, before fear and jealousy drove them into hiding. None of this matters if he dies. Seriani dropped the stone, her palm bearing a silver mark but unburned. She turned back to Carrion, whose breathing had become dangerously shallow. I need space and silence, or we lose him in the next minute. You cannot, Ravner started. Silence. Sirion's voice carried a power none expected, making every alpha freeze. I don't care about your politics or your prejudices. This man defended me when none of you would have cared if I died. I will not let him fall to poison while you debate bloodlines. She pressed both hands to Carrion's chest, and silver light erupted from her touch. Not the faint glow from before, but true power that made the air itself sing. The Alphas watched in stunned silence as she literally drew black corruption from their king's body, pulling the thornwood poison out through sheer force of will. But for every tendril of poison she extracted, Seriani grew paler. She was taking it into herself, her Omega body processing what would kill an Alpha instantly. Stop, Carrion gasped, his hand catching hers. You're killing yourself. Better me than you, she whispered, pulling more poison free. The pack needs their king. I need you alive, he growled. And before she could protest, he did something unprecedented. He bit her wrist. Not deep enough to claim, but enough to create a connection. His alpha strength flowed into her, sharing the burden of the poison between them. Together, their combined energy burned through the thornwood until nothing remained but silver light. When it was over, both collapsed, alive but forever changed. The mark on Siriani's wrist glowed faintly gold, while Carrion's eyes held flecks of silver they'd never shown before. What did you do? Ravner demanded, his voice a mixture of awe and fury. Carrion smiled weakly. I chose my healer. And perhaps something more. The castle's healing chambers had never housed an Omega before. Sirian could feel the weight of history pressing against her as servants scrambled to prepare quarters that had been reserved for alpha healers since the fortress was built 3 centuries ago. This is unprecedented, Theron muttered for the third time, pacing outside the doorway. But his tone had shifted from hostility to confusion after witnessing the Shadowstone's revelation. "Let them adjust," Carrion said from his bed, his strength returning with each passing hour. The silver flecks in his amber eyes hadn't faded. If anything, they seemed more prominent in the moonlight streaming through the windows. Sariani tried to ignore both the argument and the way her wrist tingled where he'd bitten her. The mark had sealed into something resembling a crescent moon, golden at the edges with a silver core. Every time Carrion moved, she felt it. A pull, a whisper of connection that shouldn't exist from such a minor bite. "You need to rest," she said firmly, approaching with a fresh tonic. "The poison is gone, but your body needs time to recover." "I've rested enough." He caught her hand as she reached for him, his thumb brushing over the mark. "We need to discuss what happened." What happened was necessary medical intervention. Sariani pulled away, disturbed by how much she wanted to lean into his touch. Nothing more. Mayleith entered then, her expression grave. "The pack is gathering. Word has spread about everything. The Omega who bears silver light. The king who marked her. Ravner is calling for a formal challenge." "Of course he is," Carrion sighed. "He's wanted my throne for years." "This gives him legitimate grounds," Theron added reluctantly, his earlier hostility replaced by legal concern. "You marked an Omega without pack approval. Worse, one of the forbidden bloodline. The old laws?" "The old laws were written by cowards," Sariani surprised herself by speaking. "Wolves, who feared what they couldn't understand?" "Perhaps," Theron said slowly, studying her with new eyes. "But they're still our laws. And Ravner knows them better than anyone. Your bloodline once nearly destroyed our kind with their experiments," Corvain added from the doorway, though his tone was more curious than accusatory now. "My bloodline saved your kind from extinction," Sariane countered, her mother's hidden teachings finally having voice. "The Void Plague would have killed every wolf in existence if my ancestors hadn't sacrificed themselves to create the cure. Your old laws were written to hide that shame, that pure alphas needed Omega power to survive." The room fell silent. Even Carrion stared at her with new understanding. "You knew," he said slowly. "You've always known what you were. My mother made me promise to hide it. She saw what happened to those who revealed themselves, hunted, executed, erased from history." Sarion's voice broke slightly. "I've spent my entire life pretending to be weak, useless, accepting every insult because the alternative was death." "Not anymore." Carrion stood, moving toward her with predatory grace. "You saved my life. You showed your true power. There's no hiding now." "Which is why Ravner will challenge," Mayleith said urgently, "if he defeats you in your weakened state." "I'm not weakened." Carrion flexed his hand, and silver-tinged power crackled between his fingers. "Whatever she did, whatever we shared, I'm stronger than before." A howl echoed through the castle, the formal call for pack gathering. Challenge had been declared. "You can't fight him," Sariani said urgently. "You're still recovering. And if you fall?" "If I fall, you run." Carrion turned to her, his expression fierce. "Promise me. Take the passages Mayleith will show you and run. Ravner won't let you live if he takes the throne. I won't abandon you. Promise me." His alpha command filled the room, making everyone except Sariani bow their heads. She stared at him, unaffected by the dominance that should have dropped her to her knees. "No," everyone gasped. No Omega could resist a direct alpha command, especially from a king. Unless... "The bond," Mayleith breathed. "It's not just a marking. You've started a true mate bond." Before anyone could respond, the door burst open. Ravner stood there with a contingent of warriors, his scarred face twisted with triumph. The pack awaits, my king, unless you wish to forfeit your throne. Eager to die, Ravner? Carrion's tone was deadly calm. Eager to restore proper order. Ravnor's eyes fixed on Cerianne with undisguised hatred. When I'm king, the first decree will be her execution. The forbidden bloodlines end tonight. Cerianne felt something snap inside her chest. Not fear, but fury. Pure, righteous fury that made her silver light flare without conscious thought. You want me dead? She stepped forward, and several warriors stepped back. Then face me yourself. Or are you too cowardly to fight an Omega? The hall went deadly silent. Cerianne, no, Carrion growled. But Ravner was already laughing. The mouse wants to fight? You can't be serious. Ancient law, Cerianne said, her voice carrying power that made the stones vibrate. Any wolf can challenge for their right to exist. You threaten my life. I demand the right to defend it. She's correct, Theron said reluctantly, surprising everyone with his support. It's the oldest law we have, predating even the separation of ranks. I've been wrong about many things, it seems. Fine. Ravner's grin was vicious. I'll tear you apart first, then take the throne. 2 victories in one night. If you fight her, you fight me, Carrion snarled. No. Cerianne turned to him, and he saw something in her eyes that made his protest die. This is my fight. My bloodline, my choice. She looked back at Ravner. Tonight, Lunar Peak, and when I win, because I will win, the persecution of Omega Wolves ends forever. When you lose, Ravner countered, your bloodline dies with you, and the king surrenders his throne for marking an aberration. Agreed, Cerianne said before Carrion could object. As Ravner and his warriors left, Carrion grabbed her shoulders. What have you done? What my mother never could. Cerianne met his gaze steadily. I'm done hiding. He'll kill you. He's the strongest warrior after me. And I'm the last of the silver blood, she interrupted. Trust me, as I trusted you. Through their new bond, he felt her resolve. And something else. Power. Ancient, terrible, beautiful power that had been caged for far too long. But more than that, he felt the depth of why she was doing this. Not just for herself, but for every Omega who'd ever been forced to hide their gifts. You've been holding back, he realized. All these years, you've been holding back. Cerianne smiled, and for the first time, it held an edge of danger. You have no idea. The silver blood doesn't just heal, Carrion. When pushed to our limits, we become something else entirely. The lunar arena was carved from living stone, ancient beyond memory. Every wolf in the territory had gathered, word spreading like wildfire that the rejected Omega would face Ravner in combat. Most came to witness what they assumed would be a massacre. Cerianne stood in the challenger's circle, still wearing her healer's robes. She'd refused armor, refused weapons, refused everything Mayleith had offered except a single silver band for her hair. Your mother's? The elder had asked when Cerianne pulled it from her hidden belongings. Her mother's, Cerianne replied. Back when we didn't have to hide. Now, under the rising moon, she felt the weight of all those generations. Every Omega who'd been forced to conceal their gifts. Every silver blood who'd died rather than reveal their power. Across from her, Ravner had partially shifted, his preferred combat form. Claws extended, fangs visible, muscles rippling with alpha strength. The crowd murmured approval. This was how a warrior should look. Last chance, Omega, Ravner called out. Kneel and accept your execution with dignity. It will be quicker than what happens in this circle. Worried, Ravner? Cerianne's voice carried clearly. You should be. Carrion stood at the circle's edge, every muscle tense. Through their partial bond, he felt Sarian's emotions, not fear, but anticipation, like a storm about to break. Elder Thoreau stepped forward as arbiter, though his cold smile from earlier had been replaced by uncertainty. The challenge is to submission or death. No interference, no mercy. Begin. Ravner lunged instantly, moving with speed that would have torn a normal Omega in half. His claws swept through. Empty air. Sarian had sidestepped, not with wolf agility, but something else. Something that made her seem to flow like water. The crowd gasped. "Lucky!" Ravner snarled, spinning for another attack. This time, she didn't dodge. As his claws descended, she raised one hand. Silver light erupted, forming a barrier that sent him flying backward. He crashed into the arena wall hard enough to crack stone. "Impossible," someone whispered. "Omegas can't." "We can," Sariani said, her voice carrying to every wolf present. "We always could. We just learned it was safer to pretend otherwise." Ravner rose, blood trickling from his mouth. "Which magic won't save you?" He shifted fully, a massive black wolf with red-tinged eyes. In this form, he'd killed a dozen challengers. The crowd held its breath as he circled her, looking for an opening. Sarian closed her eyes. "Fool," someone muttered. Ravnor attacked, jaws wide for a killing bite. But as his teeth should have found her throat, silver light exploded outward. When it cleared, Ravnor was on his back, convulsing. Silver veins spread across his fur like lightning. "The silver blood curse," an elder gasped. "She's cursing him." "Not a curse." Sarian opened her eyes, now glowing pure silver. "A revelation." She walked toward the writhing wolf, each step deliberate. "You want to know why you really fear us? Why the old alphas wrote laws to destroy Omega power?" She knelt beside Ravner, placing a gentle hand on his head. The convulsions stopped, but he remained paralyzed. "Because we can do this." Light poured from her touch, but instead of pain, the crowd saw something else. Visions. Memories pulled from Ravner's mind and displayed like living shadows in the air. They saw him poisoning the king's wine with thornwood, saw him meeting with rival packs, promising them territory in exchange for support, saw him killing the previous Omega healer who had started to suspect. They saw years of planning, of careful manipulation, of using the pack's prejudice against Omegas to hide his treachery. "No," Ravner managed to speak despite his wolf form. "Lies. Illusions. Truth," Sariane said simply. "The gift of silver blood. We see what others hide. We heal what others break. We protect what others would destroy." She stood, releasing him. Ravner scrambled to his feet, shifting back to human form, naked and exposed before the entire pack. "Kill her!" he screamed at his warriors. "She's bewitching you all." No one moved. "You poisoned our king," Derek said slowly, his hand moving to his blade. "You betrayed your own pack." "For power," Corvain added, understanding dawning. "You knew an Omega could detect Thornwood, so you killed Healer Mira when she started asking questions." "Lies!" Ravner's desperation was palpable. "The Omega is telling the truth." Carrion stepped into the circle, his presence commanding absolute attention. "I suspected a traitor in my inner circle, but I needed proof. Sariani provided it." "You knew?" Ravner stared at him. "You knew what she could do." "I suspected when she detected the poison instantly. I knew when she pulled it from my body without dying." Carrion moved to stand beside Sariani. "The silver blood doesn't just heal. It reveals. And you've revealed yourself, old friend." Ravner laughed bitterly. "Friend? You replaced me the moment you marked her. An Omega. I served you for 15 years, and you chose an Omega over your Beta." "I chose truth over betrayal," Carrion said simply. honor over ambition. And I choose mercy over vengeance, Sarian interrupted, surprising everyone. Ravner challenged me. By rights, his life is mine. She looked at the broken beta. I grant you exile. Leave now, never return, and live with the knowledge that an Omega spared you. You can't. Thoreau started to object, then stopped himself, remembering his own prejudices. Actually, perhaps mercy is exactly what we need. Ravner stared at her with pure hatred, but also something else. Fear. She'd shown power beyond anything the pack had imagined possible from an Omega. This isn't over, he snarled, backing toward the arena edge. The other packs will hear about this. An Omega with silver blood, a king who's been bewitched. Go, Carrion commanded, his alpha power making the word physical force. Before I decide mercy is overrated. But as Ravner reached the arena's edge, he turned back with a vicious smile. You think you've won? I've already sent messages to 5 allied packs. They're mobilizing as we speak. By dawn, you'll face an army that makes my challenge look like child's play. He fled into the night, several of his loyal warriors following. The arena stood silent, processing both what they'd witnessed and the threat that now loomed. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, came a single voice. Long live the Silver Wolf! Others took up the cry, but it was tempered with fear. They'd gained a powerful protector, but at what cost? Sarian swayed on her feet, the massive expenditure of power catching up. Carrion caught her before she fell, lifting her into his arms. An army at dawn, she whispered against his chest. What have I done? What needed to be done, he assured her, and we'll face whatever comes together. As he carried her from the arena, Melith approached with tears in her ancient eyes. Your mother would be so proud, child. The silver blood rises again. But Ravner spoke truth. The other packs won't accept this easily. Then we'll make them, Carrion said firmly. One way or another, the world changes tonight. Sarian woke to moonlight and the sound of arguing voices. She lay in a bed that smelled of pine and thunderstorms. Carrion's bed, she realized with a start. Cannot simply declare her queen without the council's approval. Theroux's voice carried through the door, though it lacked his earlier venom. Watch me. Carrion's response was deadly calm. The pack isn't ready for an Omega ruler, another voice. Corvain, she thought. Yes, she proved herself against Ravner, but 5 packs march against us. They'll use her presence as justification for war. They'll use any justification. At least this one is worth fighting for. Sarian rose quietly, her body still aching from the power expenditure. The mark on her wrist pulsed warm. He knew she was awake. Through the door, she heard his footsteps approaching. Leave us, Carrion commanded the others. The door opened and he entered alone, his expression softening when he saw her sitting up. You should be resting. Dawn is still hours away. You should stop fighting battles for me, she countered. I can face the council myself. Not this battle. He sat on the bed's edge, close enough that she could feel his warmth. There are things you don't know. Complications. Tell me. He was quiet for a moment, then stood and walked to the window where the moon hung full and bright. Tomorrow is the blood moon's apex. And I'm cursed. Sarian blinked. What? My bloodline carries an ancient curse. Every blood moon, I lose control, become something more beast than wolf. It's why I've never taken a queen, never fully mated. The curse passes through mate bonds. Understanding dawned. That's why you only bit my wrist. A partial bond. I couldn't risk cursing you. He turned to face her, anguish clear in his eyes. But the partial bond is unstable. It will either complete itself or kill us both within the next moon cycle, and with an army approaching, with the blood moon tomorrow night. The curse will trigger during the battle, Sarian finished. You'll transform when we need you most. Mayleith's voice came from the doorway. Unless we break it first. The elder entered carrying an ancient tome. The silver blood broke curses before. It could break this one. At what cost? Carrion demanded. Every curse the silver blood broke required sacrifice. Yes, Mayleith agreed. To break your curse, she would have to fully accept it into herself first, then burn it out with silver light. The process, she hesitated, would likely kill me, Sariani finished. But if I survive, the curse dies forever. No. Carrion's refusal was immediate. I won't let you. You marked me without permission, Sarian interrupted, though her tone was gentle. The least you can do is let me choose what to do about it. There's more, Mayleith said urgently. The approaching packs. They're not just coming for war. They're coming for her specifically. Word has spread about the Silver Blood's return. Some want her dead, but others want to use her power for themselves. A howl interrupted them, urgent, panicked, then another, and another. Carrion was at the window instantly. Fire! The eastern villages burn. More howls joined the alarm. Derex burst through the door. My king! Ravner led them here faster than expected. 3 packs are already attacking the borders. 2 more approach from the north. He didn't even wait for dawn, Corvain added, arriving behind him. The Bloodfang, Ironwood, and Darkstone packs are burning everything. The Shadowmere and Nightfall packs aren't far behind. How many wolves? Carrion was already moving, pulling on armor. Over 500. Our warriors number barely 100, and most are exhausted from witnessing the challenge. Sirion felt the weight of it. Deaths caused by her revelation. I should go to them. If they want me, they get nothing. Carrion's snarl made everyone step back. You don't sacrifice yourself for wolves who would see you dead for existing. But the villages will be defended. He turned to his warriors. Gather everyone who can fight. We meet them at the border. It's suicide, Thoreau said bluntly, though regret colored his words. 500 against our 100? Then we die with honor, Carrion replied. Unless you prefer to hand over the one who exposed the truth? Thoreau flushed. No, I was wrong. About many things. He looked at Sirion directly. The Silver Blood saved us once. Perhaps it can again. I can help, Sirion insisted. My power. You can barely stand after the arena, Carrion pointed out, and they'll be targeting you specifically. Which is exactly why she needs to do something else, Mayleith said suddenly, her ancient eyes bright with desperate hope. The Silver Blood gift can be shared, awakened in others who carry even drops of the old bloodlines. Other Omegas, Sarian breathed. There must be dozens in our pack alone who have some trace of Silver Blood ancestry. It's never been done on such a scale, Mayleith warned. The energy required could destroy you. Or it could save everyone, Sarian countered. She turned to Carrion. Go. Lead our warriors. Buy me time. He crossed to her in 2 strides, cupping her face in his hands. If you die attempting this, then you'll honor my sacrifice by protecting every Omega who answers my call, she finished. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her forehead, gentle, reverent, then was gone, his warriors following. Mayleith and Sariani stood at the window, watching the war party race toward the border. In the distance, orange glowed against the night sky, and the sounds of battle were already beginning. Show me how, Sarian said firmly. They descended to the castle's heart, where a massive stone sat carved with the names of every pack member. Mayleith pulled out a ritual blade, its surface covered in ancient runes. Your blood on the pack stone, It will call to every Omega who shares even a drop of the old bloodlines. But Sirian, this isn't just about awakening power. You'll be fundamentally changing them, giving them a choice they've never had. Good, Siriane said firmly, cutting her palm without hesitation. It's time they had that choice. The moment her blood touched stone, power exploded outward. Not violent, but inevitable, like sunrise after eternal night. She felt it spreading, touching every Omega in the territory. Rise, her power whispered. Remember what you are. You are not weak. You are not lesser. You are the children of those who saved the world. Rise and claim your birthright. Across the territory, Omegas who'd spent their lives cowering suddenly straightened. The fear that had been bred into them for generations cracked like ice in spring. They felt the call of the silver blood, remembered stories their grandmothers had whispered about the time when Omegas were revered, not reviled, and they began to move. In the healing dens, Omega healers took up surgical blades as weapons, silver light dancing along the edges. In the kitchens, Omega servants grabbed knives and headed for the door, their eyes beginning to glow. From every corner of the territory, they streamed toward the battlefield, not as victims, but as warriors finally awakening to their true nature. Sirian felt each awakening like a spark in her mind, dozens of connections forming a web of shared power. But Mayleith was right. The drain was enormous. She collapsed against the pack stone, her vision blurring. "Hold on, child," Mayleith urged. "Just a little longer." Through her fading consciousness, Sirian felt the moment when the first Omega reached the battlefield. Felt their combined silver light blazing against the darkness. Felt Carrion's shock through their bond as an army of glowing Omegas joined the battle. Then she felt something else. The curse in Carrion's blood reacting to the blood moon above, beginning its terrible transformation even as he fought. "No," she gasped, forcing herself to stay conscious. "Not yet. Not like this." The battlefield was chaos incarnate. Carrion's warriors formed a desperate line against the combined forces of 5 packs, but they were being pushed back inch by bloody inch. Bodies littered the ground, some still breathing, most not. "Hold!" Carrion roared, his claws red with enemy blood. But even as he fought, he felt the curse stirring in his veins, responding to the blood moon overhead. His bones ached with the need to transform, to become the monster his bloodline carried. Then something changed. A silver light appeared on the horizon, not the moon, but something else. Then another light, and another. Dozens of them, approaching fast. "What in the—" Derex began. The Omegas crested the hill like an army of stars, not cowering, not hiding, but burning with silver fire that made the night seem like day. At their head ran Lysandra, an elderly Omega who worked the kitchens. Her eyes blazed with power she'd hidden for 60 years. "For the Silver Wolf!" she cried, and the call was taken up by every Omega throat. They crashed into the enemy's flank with devastating force. These weren't trained warriors, but they had something else. Generations of suppressed fury finally given form. Silver light blazed from their hands, their eyes, their very souls, burning through enemy wolves like acid. The tide turned in seconds. "Impossible," the Bloodfang Alpha snarled. "Omegas can't—" "Can't what?" Lysandra appeared before him, moving with speed no Omega should possess. "Can't fight? Can't stand? Can't remember what we used to be?" She gestured, and silver bonds wrapped around his limbs, dragging him to his knees. "You forgot something important," she told him softly. "There are more Omegas than Alphas in every pack. We just needed someone to remind us of our true strength." But even as the Omegas turned the battle, Carrion felt his control slipping. The curse was rising, fed by the blood moon and the violence around him. Black veins spread across his skin as bones began to crack and reform. "My king!" Derek saw the transformation beginning. The curse. "Get everyone back," Carrion managed through gritted teeth. "Can't control." His body convulsed, and the thing that emerged wasn't his wolf form. It was something ancient and terrible, a creature of shadow and rage, standing twice the height of a normal wolf, with too many teeth and claws that dripped darkness. Friend and foe alike scrambled back as the cursed beast roared, its sound shaking the very earth. It didn't distinguish between ally and enemy. It only knew hunger and rage. "The king!" someone screamed. "He's lost to the curse." The beast turned toward the nearest wolves, his own warriors, and prepared to strike. Then silver light blazed between them. Seriani stood there, pale as death but blazing with power, having dragged herself from the castle despite her exhaustion. "I see you," she said softly to the monster. "Not the curse, but you. My mate, my king, my choice." The beast snarled, but hesitated. Something in those monstrous eyes recognized her. "Everyone form a circle," Lysandra commanded, understanding immediately. "Channel your power through the silver wolf." The awakened Omegas obeyed, creating a ring of silver light around Serian and the cursed beast. Their combined power flowed into her, replacing what she'd spent to wake them. "I accept you," Serian continued, walking toward the monster without fear. "All of you. The man, the wolf, the monster. I accept the curse. Into myself." She pressed her bloodied palm against the creature's chest, and the curse hit her like a physical force. Everyone in the circle screamed as they felt echoes of it through their connection. But they held, pouring silver light into their chosen leader even as darkness tried to consume her. The enemy packs had stopped attacking, watching in terrified awe as Seriana's body began to change, not into a monster, but something else. Her silver light and the curse's darkness swirled together, neither winning, both fighting. "She's dying," Mayleith cried, having followed Serian from the castle. "The binding words! She needs to speak the binding words." Through gritted teeth, Seriani managed, "I am the Silver Wolf, heir to the first blood. I claim this curse as mine to break. I claim this mate as mine to save. I claim this pack as mine to protect." But the words weren't enough. The two forces were tearing her apart. Then Carrion's voice, somehow human despite his monstrous form, joined hers. "I am the Alpha King, protector of all wolves. I give this curse freely to be destroyed. I claim this mate as mine to cherish. I claim her strength as equal to mine." Their combined words created a harmony that resonated through every wolf present. The swirling energies suddenly stilled, then exploded outward in a wave that shattered weapons and knocked wolves to their knees. When the light cleared, two figures lay entwined on the ground, Seriani and Carrion, both in human form, both breathing. But they had changed. Carrion's hair now held streaks of silver, while Seriani's silver locks showed threads of midnight black. The mark on her wrist had spread into an intricate pattern that matched a new mark on his chest, directly over his heart. They were truly bonded now, equals in every way. But more than that, something had fundamentally changed in the very air around them. Every wolf present, enemy and ally, Alpha and Omega, felt it. The rigid hierarchy that had defined their world for generations had cracked. "The curse?" Derex asked hesitantly. "Broken," Mayleith confirmed, awe in her voice. "But more than that. They've created something new, a bond where neither dominates, where both powers enhance rather than diminish each other." Carrion stirred first, his eyes opening to reveal they were now permanently flecked with silver. He saw Seriani beside him and pulled her against his chest, breathing in her scent like a drowning man finding air. "You impossible woman," he murmured against her hair. "You needed saving," she whispered back, her own eyes opening to show amber now danced with her silver. Again. Around them, the Omega Circle finally released their hands, exhausted but triumphant. They'd not only survived, they'd revolutionized everything. The enemy pack stood frozen, processing what they'd witnessed. Then, from among the Ironwood pack, an Omega stepped forward. "Can you?" she asked hesitantly. "Can you awaken us too?" "That's treason," her alpha snarled. "Is it?" the Omega asked, silver light already beginning to spark in her eyes from proximity to so much awakened power. "Or is it evolution?" More enemy Omegas began stepping forward, drawn by the promise of what they'd never dared dream: equality, power, respect. "Stop them!" Thornback of the Shadowmere pack commanded, but his own wolves hesitated. Because they'd seen something that changed everything: a cursed alpha saved by an Omega's power. Ancient magic broken not through dominance, but through equality, a bond that made both partners stronger. "This is madness," Thornback growled. "This is the future," Lysandra corrected, "and you can either embrace it or be left behind." "You think you've won?" Ravner's voice carried across the battlefield. He stood with the last of his loyal followers. "The High Council of Alphas will never accept this. They'll send armies. They'll send representatives," a new voice interrupted. From the north, a figure approached bearing the council's banner. "I am Counselor Aldrich, sent to investigate reports of silver blood resurrection." He looked at the battlefield, at the awakened Omegas, at the bonded pair who had broken an ancient curse. "I see the reports were understated." "You'll condemn us," Thornback said confidently. "I'll report the truth," Aldrich replied, "that the world has changed whether we accept it or not. That Omega power has returned. That fighting it would mean civil war across every pack territory." He approached Serian and Carrion, who had risen to face him. "The council offers terms." "We're listening," Carrion said carefully. "Recognition of your new structure. Omega equality within your territory. In exchange, you contain this awakening to volunteers only. No forced transformations." "And the other packs?" Serian asked. "Will be given the choice. Adapt or maintain tradition, but no interference either way." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the complete revolution some had hoped for, but it was a beginning. "We accept," Seriani said, feeling the weight of leadership settling on her shoulders. "But know this: any Omega who seeks sanctuary here will find it. Any pack that harms an Omega for seeking their birthright will answer to us." Aldrich nodded. The council expected as much. The world changes, Silverwolf. The question is whether it changes through war or evolution. "Evolution," Carrion said firmly, his hand finding Seriani's. "Always evolution." The pack gathering 3 days later was unlike any in history. The Great Hall overflowed with wolves of every rank, but for the first time, Omegas stood alongside Alphas as equals. The traditional seating, Alphas at the high tables, Omegas serving, had been abolished overnight. Serian stood before them all, wearing neither the servant's clothes of an Omega nor the formal robes of a queen, but something new: silver and black leather that Lysandra and the other Omegas had crafted, marking her as something unprecedented. The Silver Wolf, bridge between ranks. "Change is frightening," she addressed the crowd, her voice carrying to every corner. "For generations, we've lived by laws that divided us. Alphas ruled, Omegas served. It was simpler that way. Safer, we told ourselves." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, some supportive, others skeptical. Representatives from 5 other packs sat in witness, some having requested the awakening for their own Omegas, others merely curious about this new world order. But simple doesn't mean right, she continued, and safe doesn't mean strong. We nearly lost everything because we'd forgotten half our strength. When Ravner brought 5 packs against us, what saved us wasn't alpha dominance alone. It was Omega power finally awakened, working in harmony with alpha strength. Pretty words, called out Garrett, one of the senior alphas who'd remained skeptical. But how do we know this new balance will hold? That Omegas won't seek revenge for generations of oppression? Because revenge perpetuates the cycle, Lysandra spoke up, her weathered face serene. We don't want to dominate alphas. We want to stand beside them. Different gifts, equal worth. And what of breeding? Another alpha challenged. If Omegas refuse their traditional roles? Traditional roles? Syriane's voice hardened. You mean forced submission? Omegas will choose their mates as alphas do? Freely. Children born of choice and love are stronger than those born of duty and fear. She extended her hand, and Carrion took it, their bonded marks glowing visibly where they touched. Look at us, Carrion commanded. I am stronger for being bonded to her. She is stronger for being bonded to me. Neither of us dominates. Both of us lead. This is what's possible when we abandon the old lies. It's unnatural, someone protested from the back. Unnatural? Melith's ancient voice carried surprising strength. I've lived for 2 centuries. I remember the stories my grandmother told, passed down from the time before the divide. Alphas and Omegas once worked as one. It was pride and fear that created our rigid hierarchy, not nature. And what happens when the High Council changes its mind? Thoreau asked. He'd become one of the strongest supporters of the new way, his transformation complete. When they decide this experiment has gone too far, then we remind them that there are now 300 awakened Omegas across 7 packs, Seriane replied. That more awaken every day as word spreads. That trying to force us back into hiding would mean war unlike anything our kind has seen. A young Omega raised her hand timidly. What if we don't want the power? What if we just want to live peacefully? Then you live peacefully, Seriane's voice gentled. The awakening is a choice, always. No one will be forced to embrace their silver blood, but no one will be forbidden from it either. I want to learn to fight, another Omega called out. My brother died protecting me in the battle. I want to protect others as he protected me. I want to join the healers, an alpha warrior said, surprising everyone. I've seen what awakened Omega healers can do. I want to learn their ways. This is what we're building, Carrion addressed the room. A pack where your role is determined by your gifts and choices, not your designation. Where an Omega can be a warrior and an Alpha can be a healer. Where strength has many forms. The gathering continued for hours, working through the practical details of their new reality. Housing arrangements where Omegas had private quarters instead of communal dens. Training schedules that mixed Alphas and Omegas. New laws that made consent paramount in all relationships. As the formal meeting concluded, Seriane found herself on the castle's highest balcony, looking out over the territory. The landscape bore scars from the battle, but already she could see rebuilding beginning. Regrets? Carrion asked, joining her as he had that night before the battle. No, she said immediately. My only sorrow is for those who died before seeing this change. Your mother would be proud. She would be terrified, Seriane corrected with a sad smile. But eventually, yes, proud. Lysandra approached them, accompanied by a young Omega from the Ironwood Pack, one of many who'd chosen to stay and learn. Silver Wolf, the young Omega said shyly. I felt it during the battle. The awakening. But I'm scared. What if I can't control it? Then we'll teach you, Seriani assured her. Every awakened Omega was once where you are, afraid of their own power. But fear fades with knowledge and practice. Show her, Lysandra encouraged. Show her what controlled silver blood can do. Serian held out her hand, and silver light danced across her palm, not violent or threatening, but beautiful. It formed shapes. A wolf running, a tree growing, a heart beating. Power isn't about destruction, she explained. It's about creation, protection, healing. The silver blood gift is what you make of it. The young Omega tentatively reached out, and when their hands touched, a spark of silver jumped between them. The girl gasped, then laughed with delight as light danced across her own fingers. I can feel it, she whispered, like song in my blood. That's your birthright, Lysandra told her, hidden for generations but never truly lost. As they worked with the young Omega, a commotion arose from the courtyard below. A delegation had arrived. Wolves from the farthest northern territories, places where the old ways held strongest. They've come to challenge us, Derek's reported, arriving breathless. 20 alphas from the Frostborn pack. They say they won't recognize our new structure. Then let them see it in action, Carrion decided. Gather everyone, alphas and omegas both. Let them see what we've become. The Frostborn delegation waited in the Great Hall. Their leader, a massive alpha named Magnus, radiating disapproval. So it's true, Magnus growled when Seriani and Carrion entered together. The great Shadowmourne Kingdom has fallen to Omega witchcraft. The Shadowmourne Kingdom has evolved, Carrion corrected. As you could too. Never, Magnus spat. We've come to offer sanctuary to any alpha who wishes to escape this madness. And we offer sanctuary to any Omega who wishes to embrace their birthright, Seriani countered. The tension in the hall was palpable. Then, from among Magnus's own delegation, a voice spoke. I want to stay. A young alpha stepped forward, Magnus's own son. Father, I've seen what they can do together. It's not weakness, it's strength multiplied. You betray your bloodline, Magnus roared. I evolve beyond it, his son replied firmly, just as our kind must evolve or face extinction. The confrontation might have turned violent, but then something unexpected happened. The awakened Omegas began to sing, an ancient melody that predated the divide. Their silver light harmonized with the song, creating something hauntingly beautiful. One by one, alphas joined the song, those who remembered it from childhood lullabies, those who felt its truth in their bones. Even some of the Frostborn delegation found themselves humming along. This is what we offer, Seriani said when the song ended. Not domination by Omegas or Alphas, but harmony, unity, a future where all wolves can reach their full potential. Magnus stood frozen, torn between tradition and the undeniable power of what he'd witnessed. Finally, he turned to leave, but paused at the door. This isn't over, he said quietly. The old ways have deep roots, and new growth is stronger, Maleth replied. It always has been. As the Frostborn delegation departed, minus 3 members who chose to stay, Serian felt Carrion's hand find hers. It's going to be a long road, he murmured. All revolutions are, she replied. But look, she gestured to the hall where alphas and omegas mingled freely, where silver light danced alongside traditional wolf strength. We've already come so far. 6 months later, as Seriani stood before a gathering of 12 united packs, she thought of how much had changed. The awakening had spread far beyond their borders, though not without resistance. Some packs had embraced the change fully, others had violently rejected it. Most fell somewhere between, allowing Omega equality, but not actively encouraging awakening. My queen, Lysandra approached, now bearing the title of Omega Prime, a position equal to Beta. The Eastern Territories request an audience. 3 more packs wish to join the alliance. Sarian smiled, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach where new life grew, the first children who would be born into this new world, inheritors of both Alpha strength and Omega power. "Send them in," she said. "The revolution continues." Carrion joined her, his presence a steady comfort. Through their bond, she felt his love, his pride, his unwavering support. "Ready for another negotiation?" he asked. "Always," she replied. "Every pack that joins us, every Omega that awakens, every Alpha that accepts change, they're all steps toward the world we're building. A world where no Omega hides in fear," he said. "A world where strength has many forms," she added. "A world where bonds are chosen, not forced. A world our children will inherit with pride." They stood together, Alpha King and Silver Wolf, neither above the other, both essential. Around them, the great hall filled with wolves of every designation, silver light dancing freely alongside traditional power. The revolution wasn't complete, might not be for generations, but it had begun. And in this hall where Omegas had once served in silence, they now stood as equals, voices raised in hope. Change had come to the wolf kingdoms, and there would be no going back. As the sun set over the Shadowmourne territory, silver light erupted from dozens of Omegas simultaneously, a signal, a celebration, a promise. They were the awakened, they were the future, and they would never hide again.